In this video, we are going to talk about 10 most unusual facts about North Korea. So before starting this video, please like this video, and subscribe to our channel for the future updates. The world was intrigued by North Korea's manner of life, but there isn't much of what we do know about the nation. We do know that it differs significantly from South Korea. Online, there are numerous images and articles demonstrating how keen people are to learn more about it. So, what do we actually know? According to a few web facts about North Korea, the capital city of Pyongyang has a higher standard of living than the rest of the country. And who hasn't heard of North Korea's well-known figures, like the country's current Supreme Leader Kim Jong-Un? Without a doubt, living in Pyongyang is superior to life in the countryside. To dwell in the capital, North Koreans must first get authorization. In order to prevent you from entering the country without permission, there are checkpoints on the streets. Who exactly resides in Pyongyang? Party supporters and people from upper social classes make up the majority of the city's population. But more and more information about what happens in North Korea is getting out to other nations as the world becomes more innovative and new communication avenues open up. Here's a list of the 10 most unusual facts about North Korea. Let's start. Number 10. There was nearly an anarchist Korea. Considering that this was before North Korea, it may be a touch unfair, but it fits into the same context. Many factions were vying for control as a result of the savagery of the Japanese War in both China and Korea. The Korean People's Association in Manchuria is one of the least well-known and remembered. This movement, which existed between August 1929 and September 1931, was the result of the union of two significant anarchist organizations and rose to prominence in Manchuria. The Korean Anarchist Federation was successful at walking a fine line. Such a group may take hold and lead the efforts of local groups that were fighting to rebuild throughout the conflict by both appealing to the nationalism of Koreans in Manchuria and the desire to simply meet fundamental needs. Being effectively cut off from their birthplace and having no loyalty to either Japan or China, anarchy would have appeared like a reasonable choice. Number 9. North Korea is a tax haven. Unless they work outside of North Korea, citizens of North Korea do not pay income tax like the majority of individuals in the world. There is North Korean workforce in some countries such as Russia, China, and Kuwait. Officially, North Korea has no domestic taxes. Tax Abolition Day in North Korea is observed on April 1st. North Korean propaganda asserts that it is the only nation in the world without taxes. However, the North Korean government continues to leech money from its populace through a variety of sales levies. Number 8. There are wind-powered buildings in North Korea. Electricity is a bit of a problem in North Korea, especially in the less developed areas like North Hamgyong, which is a well-known truth by this point. Solar panels are commonly seen in attempt to get around this, and they're also very proud of their hydroelectric electricity. They had to think outside the box to advance a little. In order to achieve this, wind-powered buildings are a special creature. We don't know how many of these there are throughout the nation, but at least 2 of them can be seen in Cheongjin. They have sizable turbines on top that rotate to power the entire structure. We won't see these on every single home because they are undoubtedly resource-intensive and possibly a major pain in the ass. It's just another amazing quirk of sanctions-era North Korea. Number 7. North Korea has provided food aid to the South. This was certainly a long time ago. Specifically, on September 30, 1984, following a string of severe floods that wreaked havoc on the South Korean countryside along the borders. The offer of assistance from the North was accepted even though the South claimed to have the situation under control. With an estimated 370 trucks crossing from the North to give food, medication, and other necessities to their flood-damaged neighbors, it had been the first instance of cross-border commerce in 31 years. According to estimates, 7,200 tons of rice, 550,000 yards of cloth, 100,000 tons of cement, and 759 cases of medicine were all sent as aid. Various accounts of the incident suggest that the environment was either tense and professional or fairly upbeat and encouraging for inter-Korean communication. Whatever the case, it appears to have had little long-term impact, which is regrettable. Soon after, the USSR started to fall apart, and the North found itself on the losing end. Number 6. North Koreans love Hollywood movies. Hollywood films that everyone enjoys are widely available in North Korean underground markets. They simply don't know where these movies were actually filmed. Additionally, watching Hollywood films carries far less risk than watching South Korean dramas. Folks in North Korea wonder why they don't have the same facilities as the people on television because Korean is the language used in K-dramas. Since he was a young man, Kim Jong-un, the former leader of North Korea, had a Hollywood movie fixation. His top 3 all-time favorites were Friday the 13th, Godzilla, and Rambo. He was said to have a sizable collection of Hollywood films and erotica that he kept in a cool vault and that were thought to have been brought to Pyongyang in diplomatic pouches from North Korean posts in Beijing and New York. Number 5. Prisons are death camps. The violation of government regulations is not something that is tolerated lightly. Prisons are frequently likened to the Holocaust concentration camps because of testimonies that characterize them as death camps where inmates are starved to death, beaten, tormented, and it has even been suggested that experiments are conducted on their bodies. However, you won't automatically go to jail if you commit a political crime. Even if they are not related to the crime, 3 generations of your family must proceed because it is often held that evil behavior runs in the family. Number 4. Weed is legal there. Who knew there were stoners in North Korea? The country is actually rather progressive when it comes to marijuana, which goes against our perception of it as the most conservative, constrictive, and controlling nation on the planet. North Korea has no laws prohibiting the sale or use of marijuana. There, leaf tobacco is not regarded as a drug, and it appears that cannabis is grown openly by the side of the road across the nation. Walking the streets, one frequently detects the aroma of marijuana, which is especially well liked by young soldiers who like it over local cigarettes. Number 3. They tried to attract South Korean people to the country. Currently, half of North Korea's citizens live in poverty. The government makes every effort to conceal this, though. As an illustration, they constructed Kijong-dong, popularly known as the Propaganda Village, which is a city close to South Korea's borders that, from a distance, appears to be affluent. However, the city is a sham. Nobody actually resides there. It was built with the intention of luring South Korean citizens to go to North Korea, but instead, moreover 20,000 North Koreans moved to the south, proving that the plan's goal of luring South Koreans did not succeed. Number 2. North Korea's leader is a dead man. The only other nation in the world where a dead guy serves as the official leader is North Korea. Kim Il-sung was designated the eternal leader of the DPRK posthumously in accordance with North Korean law. Kim Jong-un does not hold the office of president, although holding the titles of Supreme Leader of the DPRK, Supreme Commander of the Army, and Chairman of the Workers' Party. Number 1. An entire North Korean city was built by East Germans. Nowadays, people tend to think of North Korea as doing its own thing. It's difficult to picture a scenario in which North Korea had close ties with anyone but China or perhaps the Soviet Union. A nation within Europe? That is a completely different matter. But it is true. East Germany was actually North Korea's third largest trading partner after China and the USSR after the Korean War. The city of Hamhung and Hungnam was completely destroyed during the war, and there were very few structures left to be repaired. Here, good old socialist solidarity entered the picture. The Deutsche Arbeitsgruppe, DAG, headed by Konrad Puschel, was a sizable group of planners, architects, and craftsmen who were transported over with assistance from the East German government and with donations from their people. They provided assistance. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.